good evening, and welcome to a special edition of Fresh Natural Live. Many of you who are accustomed to following us on Monday evening, and me being with my usual group, may be a little bit surprised that we're coming on live. We've been in syndication for a while. However, I received a text this morning regarding the untimely and unfortunate, should say tragic death of Franco Harris. I've been a lifelong football fan, and I remember Franco Harris being one of the star players of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I remember as a young man following his career, and it was quite startling. And the fact that he died suddenly was also quite startling. So I thought I'd contact some friends of mine who are retired NFL players who knew him personally, and I thought we'd bring him on and we'd have a conversation not only about his tragic and untimely death, but the implications of that. So I think we're going to have an inspiring, perhaps tear-dropping and informative show for you tonight. So hang tight. We're going to get started right now. Okay, welcome back. And as I said at the outset, this is a quick news clip on Franco Harris. He ended his career as a Seattle Seahawk, but is a long-standing halfback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He passed, unfortunately, at the age of 72. It's reported that he died in his sleep. And we're going to be talking about the life and legend of Franco Harris. Before I bring my guest on, I'm going to introduce each and every one of them. Here with me tonight is Mr. Raymond Waddy, is a former retired NFL player. He played cornerback rather, with the Washington Redskins and now the Washington Commanders. He also played with Canadian Football League's BC Lions and United States Football League San Antonio Gunslingers. He played college football and ran track at Texas A&I University, now the Texas A&M Kingsville. He is currently a recently retired teacher at the Bradsport Independent School District, and is a lifelong member of the Mega Psi Phi. Also joining us is Mr. Charlie Davis. Mr. Charlie Davis played with Franco Harris his rookie season with the Steelers, and they combined to win a Super Bowl together. He's a former professional American defensive tackle. He played his college ball at Texas Christian University and was drafted in the 9th round in 1974. And he's got a lot of stories to share with us about Franco Harris. And also with us this evening is Darrell Ray Green. He's an American former football player. He played defensive corner with the Washington Redskins, again, now the Commanders. Darrell's a Hall of Fame player. He's a self-proclaimed itty-bitty guy. I've been around him, and I don't remember him telling me about him being an itty-bitty guy, but he's an ageless wonder, played over 20 years in the NFL, was the fastest man in NFL history. And I think that record still stands today. At least nobody has challenged him to this point. But I want to thank each and every one of you guys, and let me bring you on. Welcome, Charles Big Mac Davis. I need to know where that Big Mac come from.
Kind of creative, isn't it?
It's very creative. I don't know. There may be some branding issues behind that one, but anyway. And then welcome Darrell Green, Wayne Waddy, and Charles Davis. Welcome to the show, guys. And
yes, sir.
I want to just start off with my comments because I I say a lifelong football fan. I was a real big fan of football when I was young, and some of my time as I've gotten older with more responsibilities, I don't have time to look at many games. I imagine you guys probably don't have time to look at many games, but nevertheless, for me, it was a great time back in the days of the 70s and the 80s. I was in middle school and high school, watching football, and I played a little football in middle school and high school, so I had some understanding of the game. But I saw a lot of those teams. I was an Oilers fan, but once the Oilers were knocked out, I became a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So because I always wanted you guys to beat Dallas, I never wanted Dallas to win anything. So that was my take on it. But I do remember the Immaculate Catch. And I understand they were going to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of that, which is, kind of unfortunate in a way that he had this untimely death. But let me just go around the table and just get your take on Franco Harris, which you recall. Big Mac, we'll start with you. You played your rookie season with him. What was your recollection of Franco as a person, a football player, etc.?
Well, good evening, everybody. Franco Harris was, first of all, he's a good friend. I met him, actually played against Penn State when I was in college. And the first time I heard anything about him was a scouting report. And our coaches said, he played in the backfield with Lydell Mitchell. And our coaches said, we need to worry about this halfback. He's really good. The fullback, which happens to be Franco Harris, is big and lazy. You don't have to worry about him. All right, we go up there and get beat 66-14.
Oh, my goodness.
First time Franco got the ball, headed to the sideline, I tackled him. He bounces up and reaches his hand to help me up. And I'm like, get out of here. Then when I stood up, he was taller than I was. I'm like, oh, my goodness, it's going to be a long day. But he was such a super person. I mean, from there, we ended up being teammates. I was drafted by the Steelers. He was there before I was. And we got to be really close friends to the point that he would tease me every week. He'd have a newspaper at pregame meal going, let's see who played TCU this week. And TCU was going through some really lean times back in the early 70s. And it was so bad. He would just have so much fun with that. And I just grew to love the guy. He was just unbelievable. We had a bunch of nice guys on that team. He and Swan and Starworth, just 14 rookies on our first Super Bowl team.
Wow.
For the 74, 75 Super Bowl, 74 season, 75 Super Bowl. And Franco was such a big part of it. If Franco's not running, we're not winning. And it made it a lot easier for him to run once we got Stallworth and Lynn Swan catching. But he's really a super person. I see him after each Super Bowl now. They've had a golf tournaments and all. And, he'd invite you to the dinners. Everything's free, just super guy. I mean, it's just one of a kind. It makes me really just kind of choke up a little bit just thinking about, what a guy he was. And it's a big hole there now. Yeah,
it's amazing how 1 minute he's there, and the next minute he's gone. I want to, before I go to the next person, I want to invite Mr. Art Monk in. Is retired wide receiver for the Washington Redskins and New York Jets and Philadelphia Eagles, and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I remember watching Art Monk as a young guy, catching all those passes. It's just amazing. So welcome to the show, sir. Sure. It's a pleasure to meet you, albeit digitally.
Sure, glad to be on with
you. Yeah, and so we're just gotten started reflecting on everyone's recollection on Franco Harris. What Ray Waddy, you played with the Redskins. Do you have any Franco Harris stories or recollections?
Yeah, first of all, good to see you, Art.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man, is that you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's kind of ironically, my My stepson and I was talking about Franco yesterday, the day before actually, about the catch and everything else. And he asked me, he said, "Did you ever play against him?" I said, "Yes, I did." And of course, we go up to Pittsburgh, and as a rookie in 1979, you can't be focused on who's over there, but you got to know who's over there. And I've always had a lot of respect for him as a player. I actually got a chance to tackle him. That's one of my little claims to glory. They beat us like a stepchild. Go up to Pittsburgh and play, but just all the things that I've seen about him on TV about his career and watch his career, it speaks for itself. But hearing people talk about him, the person that he was, I wish I had a chance to know that side of Franco.
Wow.
Just to know the guy that made such an impact in the communities and the league. It saddens my heart that he's gone.
Yeah, very touching. Art, what are your recollections? Again, imagine you probably never had a chance to tackle him, but they're both offensive players. But did the Redskins compete? I guess the Redskins did compete against the Steelers at some point with you and Franco playing, right?
I remember scrimmaging. We had scrimmages against them. It was, I believe, somewhat early in my career. I never really got to know him. I think I may have met him once or twice, just sort of in passing. And just very impressed with him. Obviously, he was a great guy. Everyone always spoke highly of him. But even with that, you always, I never really go by other people's impressions of other people. I like to come up with my own.
I
so
understand.
although people spoke highly of him, my impression of him was when I met him was, yeah, he's a Class A guy. And everything that everybody spoke about him was, was true. So, but I never really got to kind of get to really know him and other than that, just meeting him for a couple of times.
Gotcha. Well, Mr. Itty Bitty, Darrell Green, what are your recollections of Franco Harris? Did y'all compete during your time? I imagine so. And
No, I'm like 25 years younger than these guys.
okay.
Art and these guys. So no.
Watch out there.
Well, so I've known Franco on a personal level. Didn't play against him, but I mean, he'd come to DC. We had mutual friends, be at different places. Of course, we got in the Hall of Fame. Got to know him even more so. Sometimes when people pass away, you don't really, everybody want to say something nice, but this is the kind of guy you're going to probably hear throughout the rest of the week, where it's just nobody is going to say anything bad because he was that kind of, he's a different dude. Like, you're iconic, but it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's going to say that, man, this dude was personable. He was real. He was bigger than life, but he was right down there on the ground level where you are. That's just the truth about him. It's not always the truth about everybody that go to their grave, but with him, he just was that kind of dude. Just because, like I said, I've known him, for a long time. Just coming into DC, he would come here. He had friends here, business here, and be in different places. And of course, like I said, in the Hall of Fame. But man, that hit me. Doc, matter of fact, you're the one that woke me up with the note. I was like, what? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was pretty powerful to get that. And then of course you're trying to confirm it. Like you hope it's not true, man. I hope this is, because as a matter of fact, somebody said that today. It's the same thing happened with Terry Bradshaw. They said he had passed away and it wasn't true. So, you that was brought out today too, listening to everybody.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, Franco, just good people, man. Just good people. I hope I'm like him, because you don't think of him as a football player, and I never wanted to be thought of as a football player. He's just a dude, man. It's a good guy, good man. And yeah. And of course, growing up here in Houston, Texas, Charles, we didn't like the Steelers. Bum Phillips said we knocked on the door, we kicked on the door. Next year we're gonna knock the blankety blank, and then y'all beat us again.
Yeah, and we sent some briefcases and attachés to tell you thank you.
But I will say this about the Houston fans, and of course I've been in DC for 40 years right about now, but they all met Bum Phillips and the team out there at Intercontinental.
Yep.
Thousands of people
were
going out there to meet the team, and they got pitched. But I will say one last thing, and I've said this to Franco before. In my humble opinion, I believe if they would have got him in the dome, history would have been changed, Charlie. History would have been changed, because Big Earl was gonna bring that thing, baby. Big Earl was gonna bring that thing on y'all, but on that cold, frozen tundra.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I played at Mile High, Three Rivers. That sucker was jacked up. And I guarantee you, it was cement. It felt like cement. And I bet you in that cold weather, Big Earl coming out of that practice field or in this warm Houston, it just wasn't happening, man. It wasn't happening. Them boys were ready. And if you coming from that warm weather to that cold weather, if they would have ever got him home, history would have changed it. And Franco, well, it wasn't the Oilers anyway when Franco made the immaculate reception. So, no, it's great. I'm sorry we're talking about him on this regard, but when you talk about Pittsburgh and Franco, it's a happy remembrance across the country. I don't care who you are. So, thanks for having us on to talk about that. And
it's an honor for me for you guys to come on, and thank you for coming on with such short notice. It's interesting, and I think I had this conversation with you, Darrell, not long ago. But I mean, to make it to the NFL and play one snap, I mean, you're like one in a million athletes. I mean, I just remember. I mean, I'm part of that whole denominator. Maybe more than several million athletes across the country who put on the pads and at little league or middle school or high school, and we work our way up. And of course, a lot of guys have that aspiration, but you guys each are like one in a million just to make it to a team and take one snap, not let alone play a whole year or play multiple years or be a Hall of Famer, but just to make one snap. So I imagine it's a very small league. I mean, it's a very small fraternity. Do y'all connect with each other? I mean, it seems like each of you have some personal say about Franco Harris, even though you didn't necessarily play with him. But how do you feel? I mean, you hear about these. For me, it's like, okay, another superstar has gone down. But does it feel like the loss of a family member?
Exactly.
I mean, the NFL. What is what goes to your mind when you hear of another fallen star?
Well, the relationships are very, you could be from high school, you could be from college, can be from that team and that team and that team. It can be from the Pro Bowl. It can be from the Hall of Fame. So the connections are all through your boy. Your boy is your best boy, but he played with him at Miami. So it's just the connections are endless, as you're saying. The connections are endless, and it is family, because everybody understands there's something that we know that other people don't know. As it relates to how you get there, how did you get there, what is expected of you, and how do you stay there. So I think you're right. You're tapping on the right thing, that there is this connectivity. Like, what's crazy, Ray Waddy was the roommate of one of my good friends, at the Redskins, and yet he was the guy that I played behind in college. It just, it's like the connections are all over the place. Art Monk and that same guy were best fishing buddies when Ray left. They were best buddies.
Oh, wow.
So and Art is from New York. I'm from Houston. That guy is from Arkansas, and Ray and I from Texas as well. So yeah, the connections, man, are all over the place, in terms of how you become family. But it is family. There is a camaraderie there. There is a fraternity there.
Wow.
I have to echo what Darrell says. It's the relationships. Darrell's relationship and mine go back a long time. Art was our first draft pick my second year, and I used to look forward to going out and working with him.
That was easy work. Pick it up.
Just
you can't hear.
We got to know each other.
Turn your mic on.
Turn your mic on, Art.
He's talking about he can't hear. He can't hear. He hear you.
Can you hear?
Yeah, he hear you. He hear you good.
Okay. And so Art and I got to know each other, and spend some time together and then play together. And unfortunately, I get injured midway through the second season and miss the remaining 9 games of my second year, and get hurt in practice as I was rehabbing, covering Art.
Oh gosh.
Man, Art probably pushed you in your back or something, man. I covered Art a lot of years, man. He probably put that elbow on you, tried to put that elbow on you or something. It's probably something illegal. My
point is that just having an opportunity to get to know Art. And I asked Darrell about Art a little while back, and I said, man, I need to talk to this guy because I have not talked to him in years. And so Art, man, my heart rejoices. And Doc, those relationships, Darrell's talking about Monty Coleman. Monty Coleman and I lived in an apartment together.
Oh, wow.
We got stories to tell that'll make us laugh all night long, some of the things that we did. And so a piece of you leaves when somebody you're connected to leaves us.
Wow. Wow.
Somebody said that today, and I've been following a lot of the news. Somebody said today, when these iconic players go, and you were, 13, 14, 12, 11, and it's like they were when you were a child. It's like when they die, they're taking a part of your history.
Yep.
Because that's when you was a little boy, and
right.
That was your hero. And somebody said that, I heard. I've been listening to so much stuff today, but that's yeah. I remember, the people that I watched, and interestingly enough, and I talked to Mean Joe Green, talked to his wife today. She was on travel, and so really couldn't connect with Joe but shoot, man, I'm great friends with Joe and Charlotte, but I watched Joe drink that Coca-Cola.
Oh, wow. I remember that.
I watched Joe drink that Coke that had to be burned in his throat because you could not drink that Coke. I got to ask him about that, but man, we watched that. Some of those things we got to see, and then some things that someone a little bit older than me got to see that I didn't see. And so when they do go on, it is sort of a part of you going on with them as well. All right, you good yet? Can you hear? You can't hear.
I think he needs to unmute.
Oh.
All right.
Doc, you lock him out?
No, he's unmuted. He may need to check his.
Yeah, he's talking to his wife to try to help him. He don't know what he's doing. His wife will help him.
Yeah, just have him adjust the microphone. He may need to retoggle. Big Mac, what's your feeling on this? The takeaway.
Well, one of the things, just listen to everybody speak. you try to come up with that common denominator that we're all feeling, and it's a sense of respect. I don't generally hear athletes criticizing other athletes at this level. If you got into the pro level, you're a pro all the way around. You don't make excuses. I mean, you do your job. You help people. You help kids. You do what you do in the community. It's like a ministry in a way, and you into giving back. And so for a team, I was very fortunate, I think, to be able to be drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers and go to their first Super Bowl 6 months out of college. I'm in the Super Bowl when my college team couldn't even vote me as a captain. You know, I mean, it was one of those things. And I was All-American, but it's still, there were some things going on that I had no control of. But to get on a team like Pittsburgh and actually learn from guys like Mean Joe Green or Ernie Holmes or Dwight White or L.C. Greenwood or just any one of those guys, they're such high caliber guys. And then have a Franco Harris and Bradshaw and other guys on the other side where we were each other's fan. We didn't go just sit down on the bench and wait till we go back on the field to play our series. We would actually become fans of the offense, or the offense would be fans of the defense. And I always said, and I'm because I never played really on a team better than the Steelers, that it was a high caliber, high character, all pro individually. Most guys were the best. You could do coaching films from any one of their positions. They were really into doing it the right way. They had great coaches. And it was a part of my life that I felt that I was in the right place at the right time. And it was good enough to carry me for another 5-8 years on another team. Where I was outstanding on another team, which was the Cardinals, and then eventually come to the Oilers to replace Curly Culp. So I can't say enough about guys like Franco Harris and the impact that it's had on my life, even from college when I played against him in college. He's been there, and I'm going to miss him.
Wow. In the NFL, again, as a fan looking from afar, and I was a young kid in those days, and I had some idea of what the sport's like, playing Little League. And so you get, twisted ankle and a little bump, a bruise here or there. But I mean, you guys seemingly, and I'm saying seemingly because, just looking at it, hearing about it, playing at a higher level, you guys had to endure a greater amount of pain, a greater amount of, you have to tolerate a great amount of pain and other things, adversity on a physical standpoint.
Well, there's a lot of mental toughness involved in the pro game. We train real hard to do what we do. We don't find high school and college teams back then doing the flexibility thing to get the longer, stronger muscles, or a strength program like we would have at a pro team, where we were really lethal, if you want to call it that. You have Darrell Green coming at you about 25 miles an hour and spearing your ass, you're over with. You're done. And so you have to understand the physics of that impact.
Yeah.
Just the impact itself. I remember playing a Monday night game, and it was the only play that I can remember playing against the Cowboys. One, I didn't particularly like the Cowboys. And two, they had a little running back that ran his mouth all the time, throwing drinks on the waitresses in the summer and off season. And I knew him from Pitt. And
so
I started talking to him when he drafted him. He told me I'd never touch him. I say, man, you're going to have to come to me. And when you do, I'm going to put your lights out.
Uh-oh.
And that moment happened on a Monday night game, and just halfway through the tackle, I like consciously thought what I was doing, because I was taking him down like WWE.
Wow.
And I pulled off of him. It still knocked him out, and he was out for a couple minutes. And I swore I would never do that.
Wow.
You know, I want to play within myself and not just be reckless abandon out there. So that's another reason we don't get hurt. We don't lose our head out there.
Wow.
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 What a recollection.
Well, I'm glad I was on defense. Now let me change that. I'm glad I was on defense.
Well,
Yeah.
I understood that at some point in my career, I was bench pressing over 500 pounds, and I was squatting over 730, and I ran a 4.75 40. Okay, so I knew if I hit somebody with any kind of malice, it's a problem.
Wow.
Now we know why you call Big Mac.
So
Well, I weigh about 275, 280 right now.
I'm just surprised that you and Art and Ray run the same, and Doc run the same 40-yard dash.
The same part, huh?
Hey, that's a compliment to me. So I with this head thing in mind.
I knew you was gonna come back and say that. I didn't mean to give you that love like that, but I threw you in there at the last minute anyway. Art, can you hear us, Art?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm on my cell phone and my video isn't very
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, you're good. We
right
can
there.
hear you fine.
You good right there.
Yeah. And the video, we were talking about the collision and the mental toughness you guys had to have in the back in the day. You know, playing in the NFL the way you did. You remember any major hits or anything that sticks out in your mind, Art?
Doc, that's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't remember.
You know,
I was just going to say that you don't remember them. I've
You're silly.
that's a good thing, I guess.
I've had three concussions, and each one I woke up with people pulling me up when I didn't know I was out. And so, you know, I had to go up. They, you know, took me off to the side and let me sit for a while, you know, until I get my senses back. One concussion, I actually lost my memory. I didn't know where I was. And that concerned them. When I went over to the bench, they asked me who I was, where I was. I didn't know.
Hold on. So, Doc, that's what I want to. That's a good transition point, because, you know, what are the factors, you know, in your profession, you know, do you see, as we're talking and lightly talking, you know, all of us, you've interacted with Big Mac and Ray and I particularly, but, you know, what is those, you know, we're not talking about, what's the terminology when you talk about the brain?
The CTE.
No. What's the medical, Doc? The medical. You're cardiologist. What's the medical?
Well, we use concussion as well, but the traumatic brain injury is the phrase that we use as a broad scope of things.
But what's the medical professional that works?
Neurosurgeon or neurologist.
Neurosurgeon. That's what I'm looking for. So we're not in the neurosurgeon side of this all the way, but, you know, how does stuff like this, and, you know, what have you looked at with Franco today? You know, what have you seen and heard out there that you would say, hey man, that's probably something tied to or potentially tied to lifestyle or future past lifestyle? Have you come up with any conclusions without, of course, you're not the doctor, you haven't done anything with him, but
no,
what have you seen and what you've heard?
You know, the thing is that when we hear of, you know, people dying in their sleep, and so the only report I've heard is that, you know, he, you know, apparently died in his sleep, and so that's the information that we have, and no other information is there. But we get reports. I've gotten reports of people dying in their sleep all the time, and so typically someone who dies in their sleep is due to some cardiac event. those are the most common causes of what we call sudden death. Just the broad class of sudden death. So sudden death, if it's not due to gunshot wound to the head or some sudden traumatic injury, somebody's asleep or who just collapses and dies suddenly, then you have a list of a handful of things you think of that are most prominent. At the top of the list of things that are cardiac related. So an abnormal heart rhythm, where the heart that normally beats in an organized fashion suddenly has a short circuit and starts to fibrillate, and then a person drops dead. It could be due to a heart attack itself, where you have a blood clot or something that causes a major artery in the heart muscle to close off, and it shuts off flow to the heart to where the heart muscle can rupture or just shuts down. So those cardiac issues are two major ones. A stroke could be also a major cause of sudden death, a major blood clot that goes to the brain. And we consider that a cardiovascular event because oftentimes that comes from the heart, the blood clot does. And then you can have a major blood clot that goes to a lung. And in fact, you can have a large enough blood clot that goes to both arteries that feed both lungs. We call that a saddle pulmonary embolus. It's a large clot that shuts off essentially all the blood flow to the lungs, and that can cause someone to die suddenly. So those are the handful of things that come to mind when we say, hear about somebody dying in their sleep. Typically, an autopsy can pick up most of those things. An abnormal heart rhythm won't be picked up by an autopsy. So oftentimes, if someone dies suddenly and we don't see evidence of a heart attack, or we don't see evidence of a blood clot to the lung, it could be due to an abnormal heart rhythm. And this is something that's common as becomes more common, I should say, as we get older. However, unfortunately, these days we're seeing younger and younger people with these heart conditions who are dying suddenly.
Two things. I heard somebody saying this, obviously just somebody was saying that they had heard that he had an AFib. He was dealing with an AFib, but I don't know if that's true or not. But secondly is that, as to response to what you just said, if one of us come to you in this kind of a situation, you find something about us, what do you do? What do you do in your business that helps a person, make that possibility become a smaller possibility? What's some of the things that you talk about?
Well, essentially what we do is do a basic evaluation. You check the blood pressure. We, look at the heart function. We check blood tests. We make some determinations of whether there's inflammation in the bloodstream. If individuals have symptoms of things like shortness of breath or racing heartbeat, palpitations, then we may do special monitoring to evaluate for heart rhythm. So we do a baseline evaluation of your blood that looks at the biochemistry and metabolic things. We look at your functional status. Can you walk? Can you walk on a treadmill? How far can you walk, et cetera? And we look at some, physiological and anatomical things. The heart, we do an ultrasound of the heart. Does it squeeze normally? Does it relax normally? Those types of things. So we get a basic overall assessment of how your body is working. And as you know, we've embarked, you and Big Mac and also Ray Waddy we've been embarking on this mission of raising this whole level of consciousness to the general public about understanding the nature of your health. That's number one. And number two, once you find problems with your health, the first step is to take drastic lifestyle changes to actually improve your health. And so even though we take a high-tech approach to evaluating people, we then take what some may consider a low-tech approach to helping address any and all problems that we find. Because what in my vast experience, I find that if you have an aggressive lifestyle intervention, which can be actually more difficult for some people than having open heart surgery, oddly enough, but an aggressive lifestyle change can have wonders in turning somebody's life around. And so that the steps you take, find out the nature of your health, and regardless of what you find, commit yourself to make fundamental change in your lifestyle. And this is what we've embarked on. And we've worked with retired NFL players over the year. In 2009, Big Mac, you were with a group. Darrell, you and Ray are with a current group that kicked off our current Heart and Soul of a Champion campaign. That we're using this not only to raise awareness among retired professional athletes, but also raise awareness of the importance of addressing chronic illness in the general public alike.
Yeah, our sisters and brothers and everybody else. It's definitely been a blessing for me, and I'm glad you shared that.
And one thing I'll mention, sorry to interrupt, this way of dying, sudden cardiac death, is the number one cause of death in the United States, by the way. And it's the number one cause of dying, sudden death. And one mechanism I left out is sleep apnea. Remember Reggie White, who died in his sleep, had sleep apnea. And that's a major contributing cause of a cardiac arrest. You have sleep apnea spell, you don't breathe for a while, and then you can go into cardiac arrest. But sudden death is the number one cause of dying, and it's a top cause and cardiovascular cause of death. And so it's something that, we want to be aware of. Individuals with heart disease, it's estimated about 40% of them will, the first symptom of their heart disease will be sudden cardiac arrest. And so it's one of those things that, hey, if you just step back and say, let me get a basic evaluation, and regardless of what that evaluation finds, whether it's something abnormal or everything's normal, the next evaluation should be evaluate your lifestyle. What are the foods you're eating? How much exercise you're getting? How much fresh air and sunshine you're getting? What are you having healthy relationships? All those things are things that have to be addressed. And these are easy things to do. Let me back up. Simple things to do. They may not always be easy. They're simple things to do. But if you address these things and you meet them head on, you can have a huge impact on your overall health. And it doesn't take years. The changes can be days to weeks.
Man, and like I said, we're sincere when we talk about honoring Franco, but this is also a moment where we can launch our message to the community, and that's what I'm driven to do. And for those who don't know, I've been with Doc since June of 2022. Came in there, thought I was still Superman, but I had a bad report on my blood pressure, some cardiovascular aspects to my own life with a 191/114. And, I'm the kind of person, as you talked about that, it may not be easy, but if you're serious, you get a lot. It's weird to me how some people, it's like, you're not serious about your health. I'm serious about mine. And it requires something of you. And that's what I want to do. I want to get the word out to every sister, brother, niece, cousin, aunt, grandma in my own family. And I want to get it out to everyone in everybody else's family to say, here's what's up. And there's something that can be done about it. And Ray, tell a little bit about what you're doing, man.
Well, actually, let me just backtrack if we can a little bit. Got a call one evening from Darrell, and Darrell had money on a three-way, and we were catching up, talking about a little bit of things.
Monty Coleman, linebacker, 16 years in the NFL.
Yeah, my roommate, Monty, my travel roommate, and we have our conversation, talk about different things. And before we get off the phone, I said, guys, look, keep me in prayer. I've been diagnosed with congestive heart failure, and I'm trying to figure out what all that means. And I didn't know at the time Darrell was calling me to try to see if we can get money to make some steps, and put me in touch with Dr. Montgomery. I actually, after I talked to Darrell, I looked up Dr. Montgomery myself online, and then got a chance to be in a three-way with Dr. Montgomery and Darrell, and I became a part of the Heart and Soul of a Champion. I walked into the Montgomery Wellness Clinic with not a whole lot of hope, not understanding what this heart issue that I had was dealing with. People used to tell me as a little, Darrell, I was a little player too, light-wise. I was a little taller than you, but that I had a lot of heart. And I said, well, I need to get some of that heart back. So I went through the program, Heart and Soul of a Champion, changed some things and saw some drastic results. Had a long way to go, still got a long way to go. But I actually believe that as I look back on what's happened, since then, I've had a stroke about a month ago that I didn't even know I had a stroke. And I actually really believe in my heart as to looking at what's happened since then, that if I had not gone through that first part, that stroke could have been devastating. So I'm back. I'm still working through the program. I miss my boy. It's a lot tougher to do it when you don't have your support.
Oh man, you mean Doc? Come on,
Doc, I don't get the love you got from Doc, man.
But hey, Ray. But
I'm not doing Doc. No, Doc.
So you were 5 weeks. We were 5 weeks in a row. You were going to go back and go to your 35th, 36th year school teaching and coaching. I was heading back. I was going to the Hall of Fame and getting back up here in the Northeast. I think that you realized that, hey, you should have just stayed the course. Now, eventually you went ahead on and retired. Now you back in. But my point I'm making is this. The fortunate part for you, and I want everybody at home to understand, is there is somewhere to plug into. So you didn't have to look around, man. You plugged in. You knew where to plug in, who to plug into, where to plug into, how to plug in, and you're back on track. Doc was talking about. We were talking about you the other day, man. You're doing really great, and you're going to be great. And trust me, you're right about how you felt. It fit the countenance on your face when I first saw you, and that was a big joke in the clinic, that your face just became lighter and lighter and lighter, and that was because of the level of hope that was pumped into you by what we were doing there, and what Doc is doing. So I applaud Doc, man. Doc has something over there that is bringing hope and life to people, and yes. You got to, as they say, Big Mac, they say you got to bring some to get some. You got to bring some to get some.
You guys brought a lot.
You got to.
You brought a lot.
Come. You got to show up. You got to show up. You got to bring some to get some. What are you saying, Big Mac? What you got?
He has the experience back in 2009.
So, but Doc, was he grinding like us, running? Were y'all running?
We didn't have the running part yet, but they were doing the raw detox. What's your recollection on that?
I was in pretty good shape back in 2009.
Yeah.
I'd been pumping at the gym and running the treadmill 45 minutes, 3 or 4 days a week.
Okay.
But nothing like that now.
But you didn't come in. I mean, without disclosing everything, you didn't come in with much of a tough situation,
No. I came in just to experience the program and be able to refer it to some of the guys that was in the association and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. Basically where I've been thinking, but now I feel like I need to set an example for myself.
One thing and this is something I really got from you guys, because I started in 2009. We started with retired NFL players, and then we filmed it, but we didn't put it all together like I wanted. And then this year, D Green and you and I, we were in Virginia talking, and my thought process was coming to a peak of saying, okay, I really need to do this. And we had this conversation. And I think the timing was just right, an act of God, because I think you were of the mindset, hey, I'm going to do something with this 40-yard dash and so on and so forth. so long story short, we sort of rekindled the process in June, and so what happened is that it really kicked in because we had the program. And the reason I want to start with you retired athletes is because you guys have something, as we alluded to earlier, you guys have something special to be able to go out on the field and endure the things that you've gone through. And that's something that's very deep inside of you. And so my theory is that not only could we do something with this intervention that could, help reverse any chronic illness, I truly believe, and it may sound crazy, and you guys feel free to call me crazy if you want to. I don't care if we're on air or not. I honestly believe that we can get you guys back close to where you were performing. And it seems like it's ridiculous to me to say that, running.
I'm ridiculous anyway. I believe it.
and the reason I say that, I said that before we got started. But even after we got started, just watching you guys run the hill, watching even Waddy work out, in the gym, I saw something that it's like, wait a minute, you guys have something different than other people have. All those years you spent training your muscles, your nerves, your brain, and your mind, that's still there. And these chronic illnesses are things that's on top of it. And there's interventions, and we've got, and I sent you a text the other day, we've got some new stuff coming too, that's going to really help take away these so-called cobwebs and really help those cells re-energize. A concert pianist who developed his skills over years and years and who may lose it due to some cognitive decline, if they regain some of their cognition, they can actually go back and play. And the reason I'm fairly convinced is because we see people with bad hearts on life support who have severe arthritis, severe conditions, have those conditions reversed. We've seen people with MS get out of wheelchairs and walk, and all of these things. I've had person on life support get up out the ventilator, walk out of the hospital. So the body has an amazing ability to heal and rekindle itself. And so there's kind of an informal experiment with you guys, and we're inviting other people. Art Monk, you're welcome to come and join at some point. But I really think that you guys can get back, if you're so willing to try, get back and get close to the level that you were before. I know Darrell Green was, my goodness, he was out there, he was pushing everybody. But
I'm not stopping either.
Yeah. It's one of those things. And the reason it's important, I'll say this and I'll give it to Mike. The reason this is important is the following. We in the societies in the healthcare crisis, we're seeing young people die suddenly. Franco Harris is 72. I've seen in the last month, heard stories of people in their 30s, their 20s, teenagers die suddenly. The people in their 20s come to office with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, inflammation. Young people who should be in the prime of their lives. So you guys were stars in a day, and you were champions. We need to tap into the heart and soul of a champion. Tap inside your heart and soul. And you're the ideal group to lead this way because you know what it takes to go to the next level. And it's inside of you. But other people, whether you're a retired lawyer, a retired school teacher, a retired homemaker, they too are champions. And we need to tap inside their soul. And so that's why we're putting forth, this whole docuseries to help bring forth this message that we as a society and as individuals need to tap into our hearts and minds and souls and change our health condition. This is something that needs to happen immediately.
Yeah. And of course, we've been, we do everything from try to help somebody sell a car to, speak to kids or whatever the case may be. But this is different.
Yep.
I'm trying to get my sister, my brother, everybody. My brother died of aneurysm. My brothers and sisters been on high blood pressure medicine for 30 and 40 years. And so this is personal. And then, of course, myself, I'm getting ready to have my 15th grandkid,
oh, wow.
And I'm excited about that. And so, this is real. This is real. This is the real game. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity that God has presented for us, that we would meet right down the street. Here you are. You grew up on the north side of Houston. I grew up on the south side, but I've been living here 40 years. And then I meet you 1,500 miles away from where we were born, way up in Virginia. You're right. It was the right time. And I have a whole court basketball back there that I could dunk from the time I was at Jesse H. Jones High School in South Park in the 10th grade. And I could dunk till I was 50 years old. And last summer, I couldn't touch the rim. And I was like, man, I'm going to touch this rim. I'm going to run the 40 fast. I'm just all excited. But then I get there and I do all my panels, as you do. You're not just jumping in, let's go. No, you're a doctor. You check everything out. And then boom, 190, 101, 114 and other different issues. Like, okay, hold up. But so, man, that's a miracle that God brought me to meet up with you. I could have been a Franco Harris myself. I could have been a Lester Green, because my brother Lester, because I'm in that family. So I'm really excited about this. When I talk to people every day, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to tell you, man, this is your life, and the opportunity to be better is available. But like I tell people in my Christian faith, what does it cost? Here's what it costs. Everything. So just get all ready, just be ready. It's going to cost everything. But now in Christian faith, if I'm telling you it costs you everything, but all you have in your pocket is $10, but the car costs $10 million, that's fine. All I want is everything from you. You can't pay for it anyway.
That's right.
But the value or the cost to you is everything you have. So it's the same thing, I think, in this. This cost, this is sacrifice. Got to go over there. Got to do this. Got to do that. And most people, in society, they want to do what they want to do. And it's different than when somebody tell you what you have to do, whether you're going to prison or a doctor telling you got to do this or you're not going to live. It's different than going on your own. When I used to train guys like us, none of the coach tell us to go train. Coach, I don't need, if you got to tell me to do this, I shouldn't be doing it. Wow. No coach didn't get me in the Hall of Fame. No coach didn't make me the fastest man and the coverage guy. Coach, thank you for just kind of being there. The guy that's telling us what time we be, where we got to be. But you're not the one. Wow. I'm doing this by the grace of God. And so I appreciate you being that coach, but I still have to want what the team is offering, what the game offers. And you have it to offer, and I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be there for the rest of my days. I'll be working with Montgomery Health and Wellness.
Well, I think
Texas.
Houston, Texas. I think that probably goes to all of you. Yeah, I think none of you guys needed a coach to get you to where you were, because you take one snap in the NFL, like I said, it was 1 million. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a quick 2-minute clip of our docuseries trailer. And then I'm going to go around the room and get final words from everybody. Just get your take on, Franco, anything as we close out. So hold on 1 second here. This may not sound very clear, but let me see if you can hear it.
What if optimal health was simple to achieve? You could eliminate or reduce your need for medications, avoid medical procedures or surgeries, and stop your body from deteriorating with age.
It doesn't matter if you're 52, 62, 72, 82, or 92. Optimal nutrition is going to be your start. And after that, sky's the limit.
Board-certified cardiologist Dr. Baxter Montgomery's integrative health program can help you achieve this in just 4 to 6 weeks.
The body has the ability to heal itself when properly nourished, rested, and hydrated.
We took retired professional athletes with high cholesterol, hypertension, congestive heart failure, coronary heart disease, arthritis, and even cancer, and entered them into the program in an attempt to regain their championship athletic performance.
When a patient comes with a blood pressure, 191 over 114, this is a blood pressure that's at a level that's considered stroke level. This is a medical emergency.
This is Season 1 of Heart and Soul of a Champion, Athletes Edition. a new docuseries launching across streaming platforms. Follow Darrell Green, Katie Banks, Raymond Waddy, and Wendell Air Mosley as Dr. Montgomery shows how you can stay out of the hospital, regain your confidence, restore your peak performance, and revitalize your mind, body, and spirit. Why? Because your life and livelihood depends on it. Heart and soul of a champion. Activate the champion in you. What if optimal?
Hopefully the sound came across okay for that.
Good.
Yeah, beautiful.
Good.
And again, this is just part of a long journey that I appreciate all of you guys being a part of. And I think it's a bigger message. And it's an unfortunate, tragic death of Franco Harris, legendary player. But I think we should take the opportunity when these tragedies happen to come and bring a broader message. We've all lost loved ones, and I think about the loss of my mother, and I talk about this during the docuseries that I think that it's you take this loss and you say, okay, what can I learn from it? What can I take and make this world a better place from it? And so that's really where we are with this situation. And I appreciate each and every one of you coming on. Before we close out, let me just get final words. We'll start with Big Mac and we'll go around the table. Final thoughts and comments for our audience.
I have to tell a little bit of a story, but we had a PA meeting, Player Association meeting last week here in Houston. And typically our guys wait till the last minute to RSVP. So we had 20 people RSVP. So we had a room that would comfortably hold 20 people. The morning of the event, it was going to be at 6:30 that night. Well, we had ballooned to 42 people, players. And so that's just the way things have happened in the past. And that's typically what we're talking about now is how we need to make some adjustments. One of the things that we discussed was how great it was to see everybody, and that we're trying to get a new health screening set up, say maybe in February. And we said, well, that's too late. We need to get it done now. And so it's on everybody's mind. Personal health and what we need to do for our own health is very important. And I don't know whether it's coming out of the pandemic or trying to live with the pandemic, but the fact that we need to take extra precautions on our own health and not put it off. And that's something that even I've done. I've been lackadaisical about it, just kind of, I'll get to it. Some other things come up. And I'm saying I've lost enough family members and friends that I should know better by now. And so we all, I think, should support each other and reiterate that today is the day. I'm sure Franco had thought about some issues that he was having and say, I'm going to get that. Oh, some came up and there are a lot of demands on our life and our schedules and all that. But it's about time we shift our personal stuff into the number one slot. And I would say that about anybody, not just the athletes.
Amen. Amen. Ray Waddy, your comments.
Well, first of all, just want to send condolences to Franco Harris's family, the Steeler family, and just the players across the league in general. My closing thoughts, Doc, is pointed towards you. Darrell Green asked, what does it cost? It costs everything. And I got a new coach now. I got a new coach. I told Doc a few weeks ago, he's who I need. And I trust him. I trust his knowledge. I trust that he cares for me to tell me the truth. And so anytime I get a chance to share what I'm experiencing and to share what Dr. Montgomery is doing that's improving people's lives, I will do it. I got some work to do. But my brother Green planted that seed in my brain. What does it cost? Well, was you willing to pay? Everything.
Amen.
It's worth it, man. You got them grandbabies.
Yes. And I'm glad you said that because they came over a couple of nights ago and spent the night, and one's 8 and one's 5. And I got one of my older grandbabies here. She's 21. I want to be around to see those 8 and 10 turn 21. 21-year-old turn 30, 35. And I got to get that done by being all in.
Yeah.
Being all in.
Yep.
Big Mac, man, it's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Look forward to one day laying eyes on you and giving you a hug, my brother. Lastly, Darrell talked about his Christian faith. This has become a ministry for me. Not religiously, but a ministry in that you can't keep this stuff yourself. You can't keep this to yourself. So thank you, Doc, for having me on. Keep doing what you're doing, but just do it better.
Yes, sir. Amen. We'll keep working.
And I say that for me too.
Now that's we all have to continue. If we're not striving to get better, we're backsliding. And so we're always coming with new things. I was meeting with my team today. Yeah, we've got bigger and better stuff coming up in 2023. God willing, we're going to execute it.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you, Lord willing, at the clinic tomorrow afternoon.
All right. All right. Well, you're batting clean up there, D Green. What say you?
Well, the same thing they both said, really. The big guy just talked about getting the word out. No, I'm sorry. He talked about making up your mind, and looking at yourself. And then Ray talked about getting the word out. So it starts with you. Nobody, you can't export something that you're not using yourself. So it starts with you. Your story has to start with your experience. Say, hey man, like that. They had a commercial about the guy with the hair guy. And he says, I'm a client too. So, go check out my guy Doc. I've never been to him, but check him out. It starts with that commitment that the big guy said, Big Mac said. You gotta. If it's gonna be, it's up to me. You gotta start with that, and then you get quickly past yourself, and you want to go tell other people, and you gotta go tell other people. We are we've got to get this sound. We got to scream this out. We got to scream it out. We got to scream the gospel out, Ray, and we got to scream the gospel out.
Yes.
The gospel is the good news. This is the good news that wisdom has come. Doc had a revelation, talk about his mom teaching him something, the greatest thing she ever taught him. It was a revelation that mom was able to present to him. And so now he just started screaming it out because he doesn't have to do it with mom anymore. Mom's in a good place. But he said, I got to go scream it out. not only to his siblings and his family, but he got to scream it out beyond that. And that's what we've got to do. That's my heartbeat for all that we're doing. Of course, it's us. Take care of us. Take care of our families. But we've got to get this word out 10 billion times over to everybody we know. So, Doc, thanks a lot again. You know, you hit me this morning with that. And again, we are, except the seed goes into the ground, I mean, you take advantage. We take advantage, and Franco would appreciate this. And he would, as a matter of fact, my brother inspired me, you know, but when he died, that inspired me. So there's inspiration in people's living and there's inspiration in people's dying. It just depends on, does it really inspire? Do those who are inspired respond, or do they just go, yeah, that was great? No, are you going to do anything about it? Yeah, you know, I need to go see old Doc over there, man. No, we need to go. So Big Mac, next time I talk to you, Doc gonna be telling me that you over there balling out, doing your thing. You're gonna see Ray, and you're gonna see me, Lord willing, in January, and hopefully we'll be pulling a truckload of people with us and getting our families and our friends, whether they're football players or ex-football players, or families, or sisters and brothers, mamas and daddies, getting everybody over there. And it's not, Doc don't roll like he's some kind of big hero. He rolls like he's sober about trying to make people's life better. And Ray, you talked about it, said, hey, he care about you. And that's what's inspiring to us. Doc, that's how you inspire us. Because you were a kid. You know, come on, man. Nobody thought they could be a doctor. You know, you little old hood boy, you a doctor. You know, nobody thought they could be a doctor. This dude is a doctor, but he's a regular guy. It's like, you think of a doctor maybe like they think of us, you know. That's right. Man, we're regular people, and this is a doctor that care. You know, he really does care, and he's, you know, he's not Mr. Drucker over on whatever that is. He's a real doctor. He really does. What's it called? Green Acres, yeah. Green Acres. Yeah. He's not Arnold. He's not, you know, he's not on Andy Griffin, you know. He's a real doctor, and he's doing real stuff, making people healthy. And you come to that clinic, man, you're gonna see people, man, it's just a living place. It's a place for the living. And I'm grateful for that, because I always have loved living. I love life. I love living. And so, and I like
it shows on you, brother.
Yep.
Huh? It shows.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It shows. This
is great, man.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna close out. Y'all stay, hang on. I'm gonna chat with you behind stage. Just give me a minute. We'll close out to audience. Thank you again. Again, our condolences and prayers go to the family of Franco Harris. You know, it's a very tragic death. I never met him in person. However, I was a big fan of the Steelers, especially when the Oilers were out. But I followed that team back in the 70s and followed his career quite significantly. So even though I was a fan from far away, I felt that I knew him to some extent. And again, my prayers go out to the family. However, I want to take this opportunity, as we've done, and spread a broader message. Let's all look out for ourselves and look out for our loved ones. Let's start by checking our health out on a regular basis if we haven't done that. And regardless of what you find, whether it's good, bad, or neutral, take stock in making a positive lifestyle change. If you're walking half a mile a day, then increase to 3/4 of a mile a day or a full mile a day. If you eat a little bit healthier, so there's a lot that you can do. Invite each and every one of you to check out our docuseries. You go to our website, heartandsoulofachampion.com. And we're going to share with you a message of health, a message of how you can reverse chronic illnesses without the need of medications and surgery. So again, if you hadn't had the opportunity, hit the thumbs up button. Please like and share. There are many people that will benefit from this message. And until next time, keep it fresh, natural, and as we always say, live.